Alrighty, folks, coming at you guys today with a version 1.5 Predecessor Heroes tier list. I've seen Joey, yours truly, and Penzo have already put tier list out. I have not watched those tier list videos because I want these opinions to be all my own and I didn't want to be influenced by them at all. So today we're going through the tier list of the heroes. It's been a little over 2 weeks since 1.5 came out. Let's get right into it, break down the tiers. I'm going to try to go through this one quick for you because this is the second time that I'm having to record this. This video was going to be out last week, but the file got messed up. So let's get into it and discuss the tiers. I've actually reduced the tier numbers because I think the heroes in general are pretty balanced right now. So we're starting off with S tier, top bans / overpowered heroes. This is the heroes that I'm seeing banned the most in my games, or the heroes that I think are blatantly overpowered but are not getting banned. A tier, this is the strongest heroes at their role. That's pretty self-explanatory. The top 2 or 3 at every role that are not being banned are going to land here. B tier, usually good value. These are heroes that I see consistently having good value. You can pick them every game, you can get good with them and advance through the ranks. C tier, this is counter picks or boom or bust heroes. These are heroes that you will occasionally see just go off, but you've got to be pretty good with them, or it's got to be a really good matchup for you. Counter picks, if the team comp dictates it, you can get these heroes in there and do well, but you may not want to pick them every game. And then D plus tier, low expectations and one tricks. These are heroes that are kind of the weakest at their role, but I've labeled it D plus because these heroes can do well. I think the balance is pretty good right now, where if you're good enough with a certain hero, you can carry with them regardless. But these are just heroes that in general, when I see them picked by a random on my team, I'm holding low expectations for their performance. So let's get into it in alphabetical order. We're going to try to go quick and cut the yapping as much as we can. Argus, relatively strong hero. I'm going to put him in usually good value. Just not one of the strongest in his role. Better than he was in the previous patch. Still fast clear, still good objective secure. Annoying in support with strong CC. But not incredible. Kind of a middle of the pack mage, right? Aurora. One of the strongest at her role, not going to see her banned very often, but very strong CC that forces the other team to respect you, whether you're playing her jungle or solo lane or even support. You're forcing the other team to play around her ult. Good mobility, really high skill cap with the ice walls. Boris. Seeing Boris banned a lot still, I don't think he's actually this strong to where he deserves to be banned this frequently. I kind of want to put him in strongest at his role. You are seeing him banned a lot, or at least I've been seeing him banned a lot, but I don't think he's like broken or anything. We're probably going to save S tier for like the truly crazy heroes maybe. It's borderline. It's borderline for Boris. Strong healing still a Chimera Junior, solos objectives, ganks people effectively. A little bit hard to hit his ult sometimes, but a good hero. Countess, you're going to see her banned. If I'm being honest, you're going to see Countess banned a lot. Really strong kit. Really high skill ceiling if you're able to manipulate it well. High damage output just from leveling the abilities, even if you don't build big power. So a really solid hero. You probably are seeing her banned a lot in your games. Crunch. Borderline boom or bust, I would say, but he is one of the strongest at his role, or at least he feels like the majority of the time. We're going to put him towards the top of B tier, I think, because although he is really good, you kind of have to be good with him. And his early game is so weak that you've got to play around that. Like his pre-level 6 is so weak that you've got to play around that and know what you're doing to not get too far behind before level 6. So we're going to put him top of B tier. I think he's stronger. I'm biased towards Crunch because I'm good with Crunch and I've played him a lot, but I think top of B tier, just strong CC, fast, clear, high damage output after level 6. Before level 6, it's a little rough. Decker, one of the strongest at support for sure, right? Always has been, probably always will be, unless the cage gets major changes. Long range stun. The cage can shut down team fights. Just consistent support. Helps your carry clear quickly too if it is a slower clearing carry or they're building a stacking item first. Decker makes up for that damage output in duo lane very well. Draw and Go. I'm going to probably put him at usually good value. Not an insane, not a top 3 carry by any means, but a solid carry for sure. All the carries are very close right now. I think it is the tightest role as far as the quality difference between them. I think all the carries are pretty reasonably close, so you're going to see them spread out here, but keep in mind that a carry is a carry. If you're good at hitting your autos and you're on a decent build, you're going to be doing massive damage late game. So B tier, don't let that discourage you though. Any carry is viable right now. Feng Mao, kind of the definition of a boom or bust hero, right? Not a tank jungler or solo laner, which is what is pretty valuable right now, but can definitely win you games if he gets out of control, gets his passive stacks online. He does massive damage late. Really like seeing a Feng Mao on my team. Solid counter pick in certain situations. If your team already has a couple tanks, can definitely fit the comp well, and the execute is quite nice. So we'll slap him in boom or bust. I think that's kind of the fit for him. Gadget, usually good value, right? Maybe not one of the strongest at her role, maybe better than Argus the majority of the time. Really strong late game, good zoning, good objective secure with the ult, can play support well. Really like seeing Gadgets on my team, just favors a longer game, and games don't usually go that long now, so if the game does go long, it's really nice to have a Gadget doing massive damage late. But, you know, early game, a little bit weaker, slower clear than most of the other mids, so a usually good value pick for sure. Gideon, one of the strongest at his role. You're probably not seeing him banned, but a very strong mid laner, very good 1v1 mid laner. That's what makes him so good, is the safety from his teleport out and his 1v1 potential with his passive root. Can box against most mid laners and beat them, especially after level 6 when he can surprise them and catch them with his ult, except for Bellico, of course. Really strong mid laner, high damage output, consistent. Okay, objective secure like Gadget, except he's more vulnerable during it. But really strong, really safe mid laner. Probably always will be one of the top mids as long as he's so safe and dealing high damage. Greystone. You're not going to see him banned, but man, is this guy broken overpowered. I wonder who could have predicted that. Greystone, probably one of the bigger changes, getting mysteriously strong buffs. Greystone nerfs are inbound as of Tuesday the 29th. I can't think of anybody that would think that Greystone's overpowered, but he's going to get nerfs. There's no way that they leave him this overpowered. I think anyone... It really makes me wonder how this gets through the playtesting, or if they even do playtesting, because there's no way they playtested that last round of Greystone buffs and said this is okay for the game. Greystone blatantly overpowered, highest win rate at both ranked and non-ranked in the game by a decent margin, super high pick rate too, rivaling the overpoweredness of Grux right now. So if you've played in this meta, you've seen him, you know it's ridiculous. Grim, kind of a quintessential counterpick boomer bust type hero, right? If your team ends up taking a magical jungler and a magical solo laner, then picking the Grim is kind of a death sentence for your team. But if your team's taking physical everywhere else, you could definitely do with the Grim's magical damage out of carry. Scales up really well into the late game. Has the ult for finishing people. Has the safety, really high skill cap, definitely boom or bust. You know, you can absolutely boom with Grim and sweep games, or you can bust with Grim and get behind early and get shut down. So, solid hero. Solid hero. Like I said, the carries in general are really close together. If you're good with Grim, you can go off with them, but not insane. Not a top 3 carry, I don't think at all. Grux, Grux is always been overpowered and always will be overpowered because of the bleed damage. I don't think we're going to put him up here, just out of my general disrespect for both Grux and people who play Grux. But there's no way around the fact that his bleed damage is overpowered and he still has great healing. So one of the strongest at his role, really annoying to play against, really hard to counter. Oh, I built anti-heal first item. Guess what? It doesn't matter. He's still healing and he is still bleed tick damaging you into oblivion and winning every trade for free. So play Grux if you're a Marvel Rivals fan. Howie, a strong mid laner. I'm going to say usually good value. If you're really good with him, he's one of the best at his role because the range and consistent damage output is nice. So we'll slot him in here above these other... I think he's above Gadget and above Argus the majority of the time. Just really high damage, really good carry kill potential, good safety, great range, has good build options with Soulbinder stacks and stuff like that. So a solid mid for sure. Iggy, I'm partial towards Iggy being one of the strongest at the role, but realistically, he's really similar to Gadget in a lot of ways. Good objective secure, good team fight value, high damage output, but low kill potential the majority of the game. You know, that's kind of the same story as Gadget. Still a solid value mid laner. Definitely like Iggy, one of my favorite mids to play. But a lot of people will call it cheap because of the turrets. Kallari, still a kind of boom or bust hero, but definitely on the boom side the majority of the time. Played against a couple good Kallaris recently. Kallari does boast a high win rate right now. Since the buffs, I think really strong, but it's just as many games, you know, the 60% of games where you see a Kallari go off and sweep, there's a 40% of the games where Kallari just gets absolutely farmed and shut down. So, boom or bust, probably one of the higher end boom or bust, similar to Feng Mao. Boom more frequently than bust. Decent jungler for sure. Chimera, I don't think necessarily overpowered. I think just as Boris is the Chimera Junior, Chimera is the OG Chimera. Still a high win rate, still an effective jungler, secures jungle objectives by himself, ganks early, falls off a little bit late, but can still be a solid tank for your team out of jungle. Really like Chimera, one of my favorite junglers to play. Kira, clearly the strongest clearly the strongest carry right now since the version 1.5 patch. Just insane damage output, good mobility, good finishing potential, good safety, good build options. I mean, nothing bad about Kira, man. I know some people don't like playing her, or some people have tried playing her and struggled with her. I promise you she's the best mid right now. It'll be interesting for me to go after I make this and see Joey and Pinzo's video because I don't think there's any chance they do not place her as the #1 carry. Really strong right now. I expect nerfs to her, I would assume. There's no way that they leave her this strong, right? Quang. Quang can be boom or bust, but honestly he feels pretty safe the majority of the time. I think I want him right around here with Aurora and Grux. Solid solo laner, solid jungler. Good CC value, high damage output, decent build options with the magical items, the magical health items that is, like Magnify, Oathkeeper, Worldbreaker type builds. Feel really good with them. You can even build Prophecy and do huge damage, so I think he belongs up here. I'm just not a big fan of Quang myself, but I have seen him do very well consistently. Belica, I think Belica clearly is a top 3 mid laner right now, right? Just consistent damage output, still high damage with the autos, good knockup potential, good silence from the ult to shut down players like Gideon. Strong late game with her passive and her scaling, good team fight potential, can play support very well. I think probably a top 5-ish support and a top 5 mid is not a stretch at all for Belica. Still a very strong hero. Morgesh, she's just a bad hero. She's just a bad hero. She probably belongs in the boom or bust category because you have seen Morgesh boom. Certainly you've seen Morgesh boom, especially if you play against a lot of lower MMR players. But Morgesh is essentially the worst mid laner, right? There's nothing that she offers that other mid laners don't offer more of except for better healing, better in-kit healing. And that's just really not valuable. I think she's probably still the lowest win rate hero at high ranks, right? So just low expectations when I see one on my team. That's not to say that you can't sweep games with her, but she's really like a noob stomper hero, if we're, being honest. Morn, one of the strongest supports, I would say. As far as tank supports go, you've got like him and Steel, right, who are kind of near the top. Very solid, very strong CC, kind of borderline overpowered, if we're being honest. I think he's really like kind of more up here. Morn is he feels really crazy right now, really oppressive in lane if you're good with him. You can be bad with him and get shut down or build bad with him. But even if you build bad with him, you're probably going to do top healing and solid damage out of support, keeps the carry up in health and helps them clear. A very solid support right now. I think I like him kind of near the top. We may move some of these around at the end, but Morn's really strong right now for sure. Pretty viable in solo lane as well. Murdoch, still a top 3 carry, right? Still a solid top 3 carry. I mean, carries are so close right now, it's hard to like say where do I put him in this list, but Still a top 3 carry. Good. It's just the tech value is so crazy with the on-demand move speed boost and an across-the-map snipe and a shotgun to push junglers off of him. Just a strong tech-heavy carry. What flavor of left click do you like? Muriel. Boom or bust. Kind of low expectations, honestly. If I have a Muriel on my team, I'm holding low expectations for them. After the nerfs, still very strong. Shields are still very valuable, especially when you're shielding tanks because their armor applies to the shield. The ult still incredibly strong with the cross-map potential. I think we will probably put her at the bottom of C tier just because of the universal presence ult. Can swing fights all over the map, and I really like that. Narb, a solid hero. Kind of it felt for a long time like Narb was just kind of the better Morn because of that on-demand stun. Now it feels like Morn kind of offers more than Narb a lot of the times, but still a very solid support. I think we like him kind of up here, upper end of B tier, maybe. Good tankiness, good team healing, best healer in the game, right? Strong team fight potential with the speed up and stuff like that. Just a strong support overall. FaZe, definitely a boom or bust hero, right? FaZe, if you're good with FaZe and you're doing that whole blink in, blind people, blink out, pull my carry around type thing, she can be very strong but kind of hard to get the most out of. Can swing fights early game and have a huge presence in the duo lane early game, but not an incredible hero. Boom or bust, I would say, because I've seen a lot of games where FaZe just absolutely throws. Ramp, still a strong hero. I think I like him at the very top of B tier. I don't think he really competes with Chimera and Boris the majority of the time, but if your team does need a true full tank where you don't need damage output from the jungle and you just want the CC, having that range stun and having the ult to just become unkillable is super valuable and very unique. So I think we like him up here. I don't know if Morn is... You never see Morn banned, but you do see Boris banned, so I think we'll switch those back around. Rev, I get it, Rev players, tell me that you carry all your games with them. Luke, I know you've swept some games with us recently on Rev, but if we're being honest, he just does not have the consistent auto-attack damage output that the other carries have. Really good if you get ahead with him, really bad if you get behind with him because you're going to get farmed. Yeah, like I said, carries especially are, this is a tough tier list to separate them out because there are plenty of games where a Rev will beat a Drongo. There are plenty of games where even a Rev can beat a Kira if you're good with the Rev and the Kira is missing autos. But it's just, I have low expectations for a Rev when they're on my team. What do you want me to say? If you're good with Rev, let me know in the comments that he's the best carry in the game. Richter, very strong right now, I feel like. Since the buffs, quite strong. Good in solo lane and support. Can still win you games just with one pull. One pull is all it takes. So I think up here is pretty reasonable. You have to be good with him, though. Like, I could put him in boom or bust for that reason. So you do have to hit at least a couple pulls in the game to make it worth it. But very solid. Maybe we slot him around here for now. It feels like a lot of games you can get just as good a value with Bellica Decker or Rick in support. But I like playing Rick solo myself. So Sereth, solid hero, kind of a boom or bust hero right there with Feng Mao and Kalari. For a long time, it just felt like Greystone was a worse Sereth, right? But now it kind of feels like Greystone is just a better Sereth. So, it is what it is. Sereth can still sweep games. You can still go off and get huge multi-kills with Sereth, as you've always been able to do. Very similar to Feng Mao and Kalari and Greystone, kind of filling that assassin jungle role, high mobility, with high sustain usually on her as well. Sevrog, a solid pick, right? A solid pick, one of the tankiest heroes in the game. I think I like him right around here. Takes a while to get rolling is the only big problem, and if the game's decided by 20 minutes, if one team's already got a couple fangs and they're ahead in kills in 20 minutes, even though the sub's going to get rolling at the 30-minute mark, you may already be too far behind to get back into it. So usually good value, fun to play, very strong late game, but can struggle early. I think we may have to reorder some of these tiers around a little bit too, so we're going to take a look at that at the end. Shinbi. Yeah, Shinbi's usually good value, right? I don't think she's insane value as she was before. I think we maybe put her in B tier here. I mean, still decent. Still decent. I don't have the highest expectations for a Shinbi as I did before, but can still win solo lane the majority of the time and push solo lane relentlessly, which is nice. Can play jungle or mid, but... and maybe a lot of people do like playing her in jungle, but just a decent hero now. Nothing crazy with the nerfs kind of brought her back down to where she belonged. Skylar, I would put her in strongest at her role, but she doesn't have really these stats to support that as far as win rates. I think right around Drongo is fair. Both of them very solid carries. I would say Skylar is a top 3 carry, but I know a lot of people would not agree. Just safe. Best tank killer, right, with the beam, absolutely shreds tanks with Sky Splitter and Viper and stuff, so I think right near Drongo is fair. Middle of the pack, upper middle of the pack type carry. Sparrow, I'm seeing Sparrow get played a lot in ranked for some reason. I don't know why. I think she's not significantly stronger than Drongo and Skylar. I think she's weaker, especially tech-wise, compared to Murdoch, but may put out more damage on average, at least with her pure autos, so I think we'll slide her down here. I have lower expectations generally for a Sparrow than I do for a Drongo or Skylar, but I know a lot of people have been playing her recently and liking her, so that might be just a preference thing. Steel, I vote to ban Steel the majority of the time. I think Steel is still incredibly oppressive, both in solo lane and support. Consistent CC, proccing Dynamo with all of his abilities, massive tankiness late game with the passive armor bonus. Just a really strong hero. He's really strong in both support and solo because of that passive mainly, and because of the Dynamo procs. So I think he deserves to be banned the majority of the games, and I usually vote to ban him. Terra just doesn't feel good right now. I've seen some Terras do well, but I think you just really have to be maybe a practice Terra. I mean, I've won lane with Terra, I guess, plenty of times. Yeah, I think probably bottom of C tier is where I'll land her, because she does counter a lot of the meta with her ult. She does bully in lane a lot with the shield and the good mobility and the root and stuff. Strong damage output and really tanky, but you got to be good with her. It's boom or bust, right? You can get farmed if you're against a really competent Shinbi or something in solo lane, so I think bottom of C tier is probably fair. Faye, I don't know what world you could be living in where you don't think Faye is a top 3 mid laner. Realistically, I should probably slide Belica up to here and maybe Murdoch up kind of above them. Maybe more like this. Faye, just really strong mid laner. I think she's better than Gideon. I think she's potentially the best mid laner in the game. Really strong, consistent damage output, good team fight potential with the ult, good CC, good slowdown. Everything you want out of a mid laner except for a mobility ability, and she even has the brambles, which do speed her up if she runs on them. So, strong hero with a weak passive, but strong at all stages of the game, good build options, just a consistent high damage mid laner. Twin, I mean, Kira with a worse passive and a better ult doesn't really pan out too well for Twin right now. I think there's not really much reason to pick him over Kira, because Kira's consistent damage output and mobility is so much better than Twin, but he can bully in lane, he does have good build options, he does decent into the late game, but really you're looking for the early game pressure with him because that's what he does best. I think C tier is fair. If you're good with Twin, you're good with Twin, and you can get more damage output and value than even a Murdoch. But it feels like he's a worse Kira right now, and I'm just not a big fan of him in this meta when we have Kira being so blatantly overpowered. Wraith. Oh, man. Just go ahead and light me up in the comments, I guess, Rice. Wraith, the quintessential boom or bust hero, right? I hold low expectations when I see a Wraith, but I have seen Wraiths absolutely pop off. I think because he is so boom or busty, maybe we throw him up here in C tier, but I just can't really... I can't recommend you play Wraith. I can recommend you struggle through losing games with Wraith until you're good with him, and then play Wraith in your ranked games, because it's just not... It's not for everyone. It is high damage output. It is very fun, and he now has some support potential. Not really, but a cool hero, a unique hero, very boom or bust. You can sweep with him or you can get farmed. Hard to play in mid too because of the clear speed, but... and hard to play in, just hard to play in general. Wukong, you should be seeing him banned a majority of the time. He is very strong. It's the new hero on the block. Of course, he's overpowered. I don't think he's super overpowered. I think the skill gap keeps him kind of in check. But he does feel oppressive when you play against a good one. I think top ban / OP is fair for him on this patch, but I think next patch, after he receives a couple nerfs, which he definitely will, because every time they've released a hero for the last 10, 15 heroes, they immediately receive nerfs afterwards because they come out too strong. So I think following the maybe first round of nerfs, he will be balanced. But right now he is quite strong and feels rough to play against. So escapable too. Hard to really get any kills on an opponent Wukong if they just bail out early. Yin kind of a boomer bust hero. I have seen her do well. I have had some good games with her for sure. But seems like not a super consistent hero. Kind of boomer busty, but I think more towards the top of C tier, if anything. Maybe, I mean, honestly, pretty good value usually. It's just a slow start. Yeah, I think we'll maybe put her down here. I mean, she is strong though. She can be very strong. You don't see her a lot is the thing. That's what kind of makes it hard to place her, is not a lot of people are willing to pick her over a Seraph, over a Feng Mao, over the new Wukong. You know, for that same kind of role. But I think she does offer a lot of unique tech to the jungle role. Good mobility too. Hard to say she's really that much better than these three right here. But she is very solid. Maybe she'll be more down here. Maybe she'll be more down here. But she's very solid, and at high ranks, when people are good with her, they absolutely carry games. Zarus, you're probably not seeing much Zarus right now. He is very boomer bust, but I hold very low expectations when I see a Zarus on my team. Just doesn't really compete with like Greystone's damage output. Doesn't compete with the tankiness of somebody like Chimera or Boris in jungle and the sustain. Doesn't compete with the CC of somebody like Crunch in solo. Just not... I think just a couple numbers too low on him. I think if he got a couple small boost, he would be insane, but that's kind of the tough spot of Zarus, is there's already games where you get ahead and get Coliseum stacks with Zarus and then you sweep, similar to a Feng Mao, but he just kind of feels like a worse Feng Mao a lot of times right now. A decent hero, I like playing him, but I hold low expectations when I see one on my team. And then finally Zinx, I think she's a pretty decent support, right? Offering the uniqueness of the revive, offering a ranged chain stun, offering a slow, good clear, good healing in lane, can make for a strong early game duo. I think maybe we leave her slotted right there. Yeah. Alright, let's see if we want to adjust any of this around. Top ban / OP, I think Kira count. Gray is the most blatantly overpowered right now. Kira can kind of get away with it because all carries are so similar. Count feels a little bit better than Wukong a lot of games. That looks good for the S tier. A tier, I think Morin is too high realistically for what he offers. I don't think he deserves to be that high maybe, because ranged supports are still really valuable. Grux, Grux Aurora. I mean, Grux, man, I think just out of pure disrespect for the mentality of the hero Grux and the players that pick Grux in the first place, we're going to put him bottom of A tier because it's just gross. It's gross that that's a thing, but he is still one of the strongest at his role. Aurora, definitely high regard for. I think Faye is incredibly strong, though. Boris, Chimera have to be up here. Gideon, Bellica, Quang, maybe less consistent than some of these other options. So I think that looks pretty good there. Richter, you have to be able to hit pulls with. Just like Quang, you have to be able to hit tethers with. So I think that's pretty solid. Honestly, I think Faye above Murdoch. Murdoch is it's just flavor of left click when it comes down to it, but his tech is really good. And I have high regard for Aurora. So I think we'll do that. That might be a little biased, but I think that looks good for the A tier. B tier, Ramp Crunch, Sev. Sev, we maybe slide some of these down a little. I think we maybe slide Sev and Narb down a little because you got to be good with them, and it's going to be late game on Sev, kind of similar to Gadget before he really gets rolling. Ramp Crunch, very strong, obviously. Drongo, Skylar, really easy to compete with. Carries. Howie, Iggy, Gadget, yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Sparrow, a little bit behind. I would say Skylar and Drongo, but I see her picked more, so, maybe she is better if you're better with her. But I don't really hold her in the same regard tech-wise as what Drongo and Skylar gives you. Shinbi still decent. Yin, Argus. Don't see Argus a lot, so I think down here is probably a fair spot for him. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair spot. Counter picks, Boomer, Bust, Kalari. Kalari really could slide up. I think Kalari is usually a good pick, but not having a stun and not being able to build tank means that if your team doesn't bring a stun and tankiness to either solo support or both, you're going to have a really tough game picking Kalari, whereas you can always pick Chimera and feel confident about it. Sereth probably could deserve. Sereth and Feng Mao could realistically both maybe deserve to slide up here. Yeah, all three of these could slide up if you're good with them. It's really like a C+ tier here. Twin and Grim, not the strongest carries, but can still definitely win you games. Offers good safety and good tech with both of them. Wraith, tough to get the most out of. Same thing with Muriel, FaZe, and Terra. Yeah, Terra's still like really borderline down here. I don't like FaZe either, realistically. I think I slide her down. I like Muriel. I like having a Muriel on my team more than a FaZe the majority of the time. And then low expectations, we've got these three. I think definite Rev at the top of low expectations because I have seen him win so many games. Zarus. Morgesh is the worst hero in the game, right? Except for when she smashes noobs. So, kind of tempted to put FaZe actually as the worst hero in the game. Because FaZe doesn't even smash noobs if you're bad with her. Yeah, I do still hold low expectations for a FaZe player. So I think we'll slide her down. I do like seeing Muriel better, so that's going to do it for the tier list. I think I like it. Let me know your thoughts on it. This is the second time I've had to record this. Hopefully this one goes better and I don't have to go for a third run at this. I'll zoom out here and get the whole tier list on the screen at once so you can see it in a more effective manner. But thanks for stopping by and checking out the tier list. Let me know what you think. Let me know where I got it wrong and what you agree and disagree with. Do you think Greystone is blatantly overpowered? If you don't, I don't know what game you've been playing recently because he clearly is. And he has a high pick rate, so I know you've been seeing him in your games. And he's been getting banned in some of my ranked games too because people realize how overpowered he is. But that's beside the point. Thanks for stopping by. Come check us out in the live streams where we're having fun running Pred every day with the Goon Squad. And we'll catch you on the next one. Keep enjoying Pred, guys. Keep enjoying Pred. I'm going to go check out those other guys' tier list videos now and see what they have to say, because these were just my opinions. And we'll catch you on the next one. Keep enjoying Pred, man. Keep enjoying Pred.